Hi, welcome everyone. We are back once again for a sort of end of year review and look forward to next year. So we've got AJ. How you doing, AJ?
I'm all right. Yourself?
Yes, fine, thank you. And we've got Chris.
Yeah,
How you
hi,
doing,
everyone.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Yourself?
Cool. Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Enjoying the Christmas break. Do you both have nice Christmases?
As
Yeah, it was
can be.
all right.
As can be.
Yeah.
Cool.
So negative.
Yeah. It's just nice to have a break from work, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
Cool.
It is.
Cool. So yeah, as per the thumbnail, I think it's really a sort of look back at 2024 films of 2024, and sort of that's going to be the first half of the stream, first hour or so, and then the second hour we're going to sort of concentrate on what films are coming out for 2025. Can't believe that. We're nearly at the end of this year, and a new year dawns in a few days' time.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. Will it be a
Indeed.
better year?
Well, let's
For
hope
films,
so.
I mean.
Yeah, let's hope. I think there looks like a few good ones on the list. I've got a list here by me, so I think some promising titles. So, but yeah, before we get into that, let's have a sort of chat about the films of this year and what highlights, what films did you enjoy this year? Anyone can start.
Chris?
It's been a very, I would say, weird year. I think the first movie that kind of stood out for me for this year was Beekeeper. I think that was released January. Jason Statham. That was quite a fun watch. And then I don't know. I think I've been very much away from the masses quite a lot. I mean, I enjoyed Dune 2, but it's not my top 10. I'll give it that way. Like I enjoyed Wolverine and Deadpool, but again, it's not going to be in my top 10. Quite a lot of the mainstream ones I wasn't too impressed with, whether that's other reasons or something, or just my personal taste. It's more probably the little ones, or maybe some of the CG stuff, especially if it's got CG monkeys. I think Godzilla, Kong, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes stuff, they were quite good. The animated side of things was really good this year, I think.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I actually forgot about that film. Strangely, it was good, but yeah, it sort of slipped my memory. It's only when you did your top 10, AJ, that I think even you kind of said that you almost forgot it.
I did, yeah. I had to. I went through a listing of every film that was released this year. And I had to go through and see what I'd seen. See, every year I sort of say to myself, well, I'm going to keep a diary of everything I've seen. Never happens. So I end up at the end of the year going, well, like previous years, I've forgotten films. Now I'm completely forgotten. I've just gone what was in my mind. So I went through a list of everything that was released. It was, oh, yeah, look, Planet Apes. So how have I forgotten that? Yeah, it's easily done. It's easily done.
It is. Yeah. But yeah, it was it was a good film. I mean, I caught that on Disney Plus. I didn't actually pick that up physical media wise, but unfortunately I think that's going to be the way forward for me, starting to stream a lot more, sadly, just through lack of space. But anyway, that's another subject. But
go on, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, so what's been the highlight for you? What films have you kind of really enjoyed this year?
Well, like Chris says, it's been a funny year, but and even Chris pointed out in one of his videos, it could be a knock-on effect of the writer strikes that they had, the strikes they had a while ago, and that sort of thing. But it seems that every year I'm saying this wasn't a very good year for film. It seems to be just repeating the same thing every year, and I don't know if I'm expecting too much now from not only from Hollywood but from audiences as well, in the sense that we're being conditioned to be very accepting of dross, because there's nothing else there. There's nothing. Yeah, but I mean, it's interesting. I mean, Beekeeper was very early in the year, and I liked it on the first watch, and I hated it on the second watch. Seriously, I thought it was crap when I watched it again. So I watched it first off, and then I watched it with the missus, and I thought, I can't believe how bad this is. This film actually is. Yeah, it didn't work for me, that one. The thing is, when I do when I do films, when I look at top 10 films, or whatever for the year, I always go into, what a lot of them are what has that rewatchability, what film can draw me back to watch again, and that sort of a thing. And while I could probably, say that technically there are far better films, I don't look at it like that. Do you know what I mean? It's how I perceive it. So that's why I stuck Bad Boys 4 at my number one spot, because I had so much fun with it. And I've watched it probably about 4 times now. And I just find it, I think it's funny. It's got all the elements that make the film fast-paced and rewatchable for me. Do you know what I mean? So I sort of go into it, a lot of it like that. Not to say there are some films on the list that wouldn't be, that wouldn't have that rewatchability factor, like Horizon, Kevin Costner film, which made my top 10, which I thought, I like Kevin Costner anyway. It's not a film that I'd sit down and rewatch over and over again, but it did make the top 10 because, it blew me away. Do you know what I mean? I always tend to find that I find one animated film makes the list and one foreign film makes the list. And that was obviously Transformers 1, and then the spider film Infested from France.
Yeah, neither of those I've seen. I did catch the the other spider film, Sting. Yeah, didn't mind that, but again, I felt with that one it was more of a one-time watch for me. Yeah, I like yourself enjoy the creature feature films, but I can't see myself revisiting that particular one again. But that Infested sounds interesting from what you said. Is that on Netflix, do you think, or is that on Netflix?
I'm not sure where it's streamed. It might be. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, gotta look out for that one, because creature features are always fun, aren't they?
I mean, when I went into it, I was a bit like, not sure I like the casting in this. It's like young sort of young people, much akin to the sort of elements of how young people are today that I dislike, if that makes sense. They sort of, but the film is it's actually really good.
Yeah, I've watched a fair few shark films this year. Again, a lot of shark stuff on. There's a lot of shark films on Netflix. And I think the most recent one I watched, again, when we first started watching it, I didn't think I was going to enjoy it, and actually, it wasn't bad. I can't remember the name of it, but all I remember is a group of women, and they're sort of celebrating this hen do. They go to this island. Chris is nodding. He must have seen this.
Yeah,
I thought it was quite good. I can't remember what it was called, but I ended up quite enjoying that. I thought it was quite good.
It's probably just loosely described a dozen shark films. I have seen it, but I can't remember the name of it.
Again, it's a Netflix one.
Yeah, a lot of them are just. I don't even know why I bother trying them. Do you know what I mean?
There was the French one. as
Under
well,
Paris.
wasn't there?
Under Paris, yeah.
Under Paris, yeah, that was earlier this year, and I didn't realise
Something in the water.
Something in the water.
Something in the water. That's what that one was called. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
When we were watching the one Under Paris, I think it had defaulted to English dubbed, and for a while there, I was sort of sat there thinking, their mouths are moving, but the dialogues, I couldn't work it out. And then I realised, this is actually a French film with the English dub. It obviously defaulted to that.
Some of the dubbing in that was horrendous.
Yeah.
I started watching it in its dubbed version, and I had to stop it and switch to the French. So I read the subtitles because I couldn't. It was so bad.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, so I mean, for me, I think two standout films for me this year. One was Dune Part 2, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I went to see that at the cinema. Probably one of the best cinema experiences since Blade Runner 2049 for me. I really, really enjoyed that. I thought the cinematography was fantastic. I felt character development in that film was far, far better than the first film. I think we saw Paul Atreides really come into his own in the second film. And I know you said, AJ, with yourself, unfortunately, you've got this sort of thing from when you were young about the first Dune film.
Childhood trauma.
Yeah, childhood trauma. And I mean, I've seen the first one once, and I couldn't get on with it. I found it quite a boring film. But when they, part one came along, I thought it was fantastic, and I was very keen to see the second one. And I'm so glad I saw it at the cinema, because it was, again, it's very rare for me to go to. I mean, I don't go to the cinema that much, but when I do go, to get that real sort of feeling of, wow, this is, I feel really immersed in this with the sound and the visuals and all this sort of thing. So yeah, for me, well, I had that as my number one film anyway. Not that there was many on my list, but and then the second one, and again, it didn't make my list because, again, I'd forgotten about it, but bad really, because it's a fantastic film. And obviously that's Godzilla -1. I personally think that is the best Godzilla film that has ever been made. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Really, really good, solid film.
Technically, that would have been last year.
Was it?
Yeah, it was released, I think, end of November 2023, because I went to see it at the cinema. So,
okay.
And then and then it was released on physical media December.
Yeah, it took a year to come out for us. That's why I didn't include it in my top 10, because even though I'd seen it this year, it was one of those films that I missed at the latter part of last year.
Okay. Oh, I thought it came out in the early part of this year.
No, that was late last year.
Oh, fair enough.
It did go back into the cinema, I think, for a period. Because I gave it an honourable mention, I think, in 2023's top 10, because it had only literally been out a month before the end of the year. So,
okay, all right. So, what else was there then? Oh, I don't know. Can't remember. What other films were there?
Joker.
Yeah.
Yes, Joker Folie à Deux. Yeah. Now again, went into that one with very low expectations, and I actually quite enjoyed it. For me, most of it worked. I think there were some scenes, especially the sort of interview between Joker or what's the guy's name? What's Joker's name?
I can't remember. Joaquin Phoenix, I know he played him, but
Yeah.
Arthur Fleck.
That's it.
Arthur Fleck. Yeah. Between him and Steve Coogan, I don't think that worked. That sort of singing scene, I just think that should have not happened. But the stuff between him and Harley Quinzel, I thought worked well. Don't come in here. Just bear with me.
Damn that reflection.
Yeah, coming in.
Saying that one's annoying me there. That's annoying me.
Hey?
That there's annoying me.
Yeah, it is.
That's winding me up, that one. Let's see if I can move that.
Just talk amongst yourselves and I'll try to talk there.
Oh.
There you go, that's better. That
Yeah.
won't wind me up now.
That's clappable came in useful.
It did, yeah. I got your thing. Your Robocop's there.
Ah, yeah, cool.
I've actually bought a T-shirt with that image on it.
Okay, that's. I think that was the first Christmas present I bought about 6 months ago.
Really?
So, yeah, you have to. We were at one of my local vintage places had like a toy thing, and we walked in, and my wife went, "Oh, there's a RoboCop thing over there. AJ would like that." So I picked yours up first, and then I found a Bruce Lee one for Matt. But obviously, because I gave Matt's for his birthday, I had to keep stum that I'd found you one for like 6 months.
That's good art. I like that image. That's great.
Yes. That's on that guy on Etsy who does the slip covers.
Yeah.
That was on that as well. That was really nice.
Don't tell me that.
So yeah, sorry about that. I think I managed to sort out that light now. Joker, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought, I thought it was a brave ending. Thought it did something different, which I know a lot of people didn't like. But for me, I don't look at it as really a DC. Well, part of the the normal DC stuff. It's more. I think it's more about the character of Arthur Fleck and his mental health. What about you? What do you think of Joker 2, Chris?
Yeah, I was very mixed on it. So I always took the first movie as a standalone Joker film, that it's not tied to the DC universe. It's more just taking inspiration from that character. And, I liked that he had like the condition. There were just a lot of elements for me that didn't work. I mean, for the whole story of one, then you kind of have the little court case, which is, which sums up basically the first story. And there's not a lot that happens. Not a big fan of the Brat Pack songs and stuff. So the music didn't really work for me, even though I do like musicals and stuff. And I mean, it was shot well, and you could see it fits it. For me, it was a lot of elements that just didn't work, and I think if they'd gone a different way, it may have pleased the masses, but I think it shouldn't have just gone past the first movie. I think it was good to him to go off, and you don't know if he was caught, if he freed, what he went on, and just left it at that. But it never happens, does it? If it makes a lot of money, so.
Right. What do you think, AJ?
I don't think it's as bad as what people made it out to be. I think people are very guided now in their opinions, like to jump on these hate bandwagons. Even prior to before a film's release, you see it, and that kind of winds me up. And I do get it at times. I do get it, but ultimately, you got to wait. You got to see the final product before anything else. But I agree with Chris that the film would have first one benefited from being a standalone. I don't think that like I said, I don't think it's as bad as what people make out. I don't think that the song and dance numbers particularly worked in the context of the film. There's several that you could clearly delete delete from the film, and it would make no difference in the film's narrative flow whatsoever. So almost to a point where these songs happen that the film sort of stands still. For the few minutes that occurs. One that springs to mind is the bit where they're in the sort of in the hospital, in the room where all the patients are sat watching the telly.
Yeah.
And he sings around and
Yeah.
makes his way back to the same point. If you watch that song does nothing for anything.
Yeah.
You delete that out, have him stood at the same point, and it changes no narrative whatsoever in the film. It doesn't progress it or anything like that. The song numbers were just a way of showing the madness of two, so to speak, in that it's just them that share the songs, the two, him and Harley Quinn. So that's why it's only them two, because it's a way to show that sort of shared madness. But ultimately, I mean, I like the ending. I thought I didn't mind the end where he was killed by the proper Joker. I like the fact that it kind of suggested that if he had chosen the Joker persona over the Arthur Fleck persona, would the real Joker have come to be? I don't think he would have done. I don't think the real person would have killed him. The person who would become the real Joker, so to speak, in the narrative of those films, wouldn't have made that decision had he not chose the Arthur Fleck persona over the Joker persona. I quite like that element. But ultimately, yeah, where the first film I thought was a good portrayal of someone with mental health problems, I don't think that conveyed over into the second film, because the second film was more of a film, if that makes sense. Because it stepped into the realm of fantasy in the sense of the way it portrayed the madness of two, folie à deux, which is a real condition whereby one person has a mental health issue, problem, a madness, for want of a better term, that when they're put with another person, that person starts experiencing that same madness. So it's a real condition, but it's a very it's not a it's whereas mental health conditions, everyone knows about them, and a lot of people experience them at some point in their life. The madness of two thing is more something that's far more that doesn't occur as much. So you're stepping into this realm more of fantasy with it. So I don't feel that it worked in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people as well, they've sort of said that, you know, it's just a platform for Lady Gaga to get a few songs out and this kind of thing. But I do actually think she's a competent actress. I think she's, you know, I think she showed in Star is Born. I thought she was very good in that. And I got from her performance that she was quite a manipulative character, that she was very much in love with the Joker persona. And I think sort of towards the end of it, obviously Arthur Fleck was obviously in love with her, and you know, he couldn't understand why she kind of rejected him at the end. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it was better than I thought it was going to be, but yeah, probably not necessarily needed. But I liked the fact that it did something different at the end. It didn't like have to tick a box all the time and have to fit into an established universe or set up another film. I quite like something where it's a standalone. It's, you know, I've heard people saying, "Oh, is it going to be a Joker 3 and all this sort of thing?" Well, no, it's not about that. It's about, you know, it's the story of this guy. You know, his descent into madness, shall we say, and then his kind of realization that actually, no, this is, you know, not right. And I think it was that little guy that his sort of friend that he worked with in that in that court scene that actually brought him back from that sort of, actually, you know, you're not a bad person here, but you've been sort of driven towards this, you know, and create this persona which people love and all the rest of it. But yeah, I didn't mind it. Yeah, so just gonna got quite a few comments coming in, so let's just pop up some comments. They got Stephen. Hi, Stephen. How you doing? We've got Dan from Oceans Review. Hi, Dan.
From
Nice
what
to
way
see
down?
you. Long time no see.
Yeah.
Hope you're doing well. What time it would be in Australia? Quite late at night now, I imagine.
Mm.
Happy New Year to you when it comes.
Mhm.
And we got Flicks and Pixels. Hello. Morning, fellas. 2024 was a little underwhelming. Standouts for me: Abigail, Twisters, Terrifier 3. Despite negative reviews, I quite enjoyed the Ghostbusters. Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen Abigail or Terrifier 3. Twisters, I thought was okay, but again, it lacked something from the original, which I think was ultimately characters. Apart from, for me, Glenn Powell, I thought was the strongest part of the film, but the rest of them very forgettable, if you ask me.
No, Abigail was fun. I had fun with that. I enjoyed that. Did you see that, Chris?
Yeah. I'm like you. The trailer ruined it a little bit for me. They should have, if they could have kept it, the trailer a lot more obscure of what was going on, I think it would have been a far better movie. But you knew a lot that was going on, and
yeah,
there
I think
was
they're scared, aren't they? They're scared to do that.
And
it should have had that from Dusk Till Dawn impact.
Yeah.
And when you first saw Dusk Till Dawn, you didn't realize what you was watching until that halfway through that it just turns it on its head. Should have had that, but to show the twist,
And I think them all being stuck in that library with the round window, I was like, I would have been out that window, you know, not let's wait around 6 hours, but is what it is. It's just my personal opinion. So
yeah, I had fun with it. That's what I'm saying. Twisters, I didn't mind.
same
I don't hold the first Twister in as high regard as what Matt does.
Yeah.
I think because obviously Twister was like the first one was like sort of the grandfather of the sort of the natural disaster movies, so to speak. It was like one of the very first
of the 90s, of the 90s.
Yeah, and I just feel that they ramped up after that. You know, they got bigger and bigger and bigger, and you know what I mean. So to go back and watch Twister, just one about some tornadoes is a bit thingy. But I had fun with it again. Terrifier, I've never seen Terrifier 1 and 2. Ironically, I have got them on Blu-ray. I did buy the double pack a while back with the intent of watching them. Never got round to it. So I'd be interested to see my thoughts on them, considering my thoughts on horror overall. I'm sort of, I fear that I'd watch them and I'd be slagging them off, to be honest. That's what I think would happen. Yeah. Have you seen Terrifiers, Chris?
I've seen one. So my friends have watched it, and like a lot of people have bigged it up. So I streamed on a website called Racking 10. Had a voucher, so I watched Terrifier 1, and the guy who does the clown, he's good. The makeup's good. I thought the acting was poor. It's some of the shock value. It didn't hit home to me. I say I'm not the biggest horror fan, but I thought I've seen a lot better horror films. So I'm not interested in really seeing 2 or 3 at this point. It's
it's what I feel would happen with me if I watched it. And I thought Ghostbusters Frozen Empire was a step backwards for the franchise after Aftermath. Is it Aftermath? Is Afterlife?
Yeah, Afterlife. Yeah.
Aftermath, what am I saying? I felt it was too busy. It was too busy of characters. It is kind of like, to me, it's the It's Transformers: Rise of the Beasts after Bumblebee. You had a film that generated all this goodwill that kind of pointed the franchise in a new direction, and then the next thing just took a step backwards. And yeah, it's a shame. I feel that, you know, Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire was far too top heavy with characters. Most definitely, they should have ejected all of the original cast, with the exception of Ernie Hudson, and focused on this, you know, him bankrolling it and this new group of Ghostbusters. Not that I've got anything against Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and all those. I just felt that they had their goodbye in the one before, and that would have been a good send off, a nice ending for them. And then they shoehorned them all back in, along with other new characters as well, and it just became a bit, you know. I mean, that ending, it really highlighted the ending. It's all coming back to me now. The ending where there's like 10 of them, 10 people stood in the firehouse in front of this big, whatever ghost thing is, and that's all. That's all it comes down to at the end. Is them stood in front of, firing their proton packs at said thing, without, you know, in a place that is visually boring. You know, being in the firehouse, a thing that we've seen in every other Ghostbuster film. You know, a setting that we've seen in every other Ghostbuster film. It's just, yeah, I don't know. It didn't work for me. I do need to give it another watch. Obviously, I picked it up recently because of that steelbook that what we got, Matt, when we done those deals.
Yeah, it's a nice steel. It is quite a nice steelbook, that.
But the film, I feel there's a step backwards. That was a problem.
Yeah.
More than anything. Just, I can't believe they've gone back to, you know, it's like, again, they were scared. It's like they were scared to you know, do something different.
It's safe, isn't it, to have legacy characters, which, you know, I guess, yeah. I don't know how much involvement Dan Aykroyd had in it, because I know for a long, long time he was very keen to get a sequel, wasn't he? For many, many years. So whether he was kind of involved in it, or whether it's more the studio saying, no, we've got to, you know, make sure that we get these characters back in. There's not many studios now seem to want to take a risk on things. You know, they have to be very, I guess they have to get their money back very quickly on a lot of this stuff, you know, investors. But there seems to be a trend now, and it speaks volumes, is actually the less money spent on a film, the better it actually does. You know, I think, just trying to think of an example where that happened.
All you got to do is look at the money spent on, you know, Godzilla -1, the budget of that.
Yeah, I don't know what
the budget
wasn't
of
that much, was it?
I want to say in the region of maybe 20-30 million, maybe less than that.
Yeah,
it wasn't an expensive film at all. And then when you hold that up against Godzilla x Kong, you know, it's night and day with what it gives you. I know that Godzilla Kong is more, it's probably top heavy on CGI, in that everything is CG, the background, everything. But it shows you what you can do on a minimal budget compared to. It looks better. It looks better.
Yeah. And I just think, you know, with less money thrown at it, there's more of well, we can take more of a risk with this, because we're not going to, you know, even if it doesn't do well, we've not lost that much money. Whereas if you pump in 200 million into a film, you want to recoup some of that money, definitely. But yeah, when will the studios learn? I don't think they ever will. The trouble is, it's more of a business now, isn't it? Rather than, just about making entertainment. It's all about the investors and how much money they're going to get back and all this sort of thing. It just,
well, cinema back in the day used to be art. It used to be an art form.
yeah,
It was a way for ideas to be portrayed and things like this. And yeah, you're right. It's now just it's a business, which I understand completely. I get that. They're there to make money. So why risk? What? Although they're losing it left, right, and centre anyway. Even without trying to take their risks, they're just, I don't know.
yeah. We've got Jim Jam Movies and TV. Good morning. Thanks for joining. He's put quite a few comments here. Currently watching A Quiet Place Day One. Not seen that yet either. You guys, both of you seen that?
Yeah, that's all right. Only thing I say, that bloody cat survived. I do not know.
I hate the Quiet Place franchise. Seriously, it just doesn't
I like
work.
the first film. Thought the first one was very good, but
it just makes no sense. The whole world, the rules in the world make no sense to me whatsoever. I just don't. I cannot grow. I'm sat there with too many questions. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Why would you? Why you? I mean, I like John. Yeah, the thing is, I really like John Krasinski. I like John Krasinski to the point that there's this alternate world where he did get to portray Captain America, and I wanted to see that. So and as Jack Ryan, I think he's spot
Mr.
on.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I think he's
not.
but that the end of the film where he sacrifices himself for his kids. He didn't have to do it. He didn't have to do that. He could have just thrown the axe into the barn and then stood still and made no noise, and they wouldn't have seen him. And do you know what I mean? There's just so many questions that those films leave me with when I watch them, that they seriously. I've got Quiet Place 1 and 2 behind me somewhere, and I keep meaning to eject them from the collection. I need to get rid of them because it winds me up that they are sat here on a shelf.
I didn't mind the first one. But...
the idea itself. I ain't got an issue with the idea. It's just the execution. But this sand that he's put down, all this sand that they're walking on, the logistics of doing that just boggles my mind. Of having to do that. Then they're sat on top of the corn thing with the little fire going. Fire makes noise. So why ain't they attracting these things? Why is it that it doesn't matter where they are? It seems to be that one of these creatures is within earshot of whatever they do. They're in the middle of the woods, and so how many of these creatures are there out there? What is there? Do you know what I mean? Is there one that covers every couple of 100 meters of square foot land? There's one of these creatures in it or something. It just does my mind. It does my head in. It really does. Just too many questions. And then in the third one, Day One, you've got all the groups of people at the beginning walking around in their shoes, like mass groups of people walking around in their shoes, not attracting any sound because they're all being quiet. And yet you go back to the very first, the original one, and they've got no shoes on, and they're having to walk on sand. What I'm saying is the rules don't apply, as each film changes up the rules of this world that they've created. It just says, well, why are you walking around with no shoes on then and on sand? When in the first film they could all do it, unless someone kicks a bottle or something, they're safe.
Yeah, that's bad writing, isn't it? Continuity, not looking back at what you've done before.
Just winds. And the girl in that day one, it's like she just knew the rules from the get-go. She didn't have to learn them. It's like all of a sudden she just knows them. You know, it didn't have to go through any like trial by fire to understand what's going on. It's like all of a sudden she just gets it. But ranting about Quiet Place, there's so much they wind me up.
Jim Jam says, have you all seen Never Ending Story? Many, many years ago.
Yeah. It's his favourite movie. That's why he asked.
Oh, okay.
No, there's been a nice big release, like £200 release.
Yeah.
Something done.
The book, ain't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Imprint. Is it Imprint, I think?
I think so, yeah.
He says, I agree. 2025 hopefully will be better. A highlight which surprised me was Wild Robot. Thoroughly enjoyed. Not seen that one. Have you seen that, Chris?
Yeah, of course. What day
Yeah,
was
you
it?
pretty much see most things.
Yeah.
Because you've got your
Yeah.
cinema, haven't you?
Yeah. So, as you've known, if you go on my channel, you'll see my stories about local cinema and stuff like that. But yeah, Wild Robot was a great movie. Unfortunately, the main lady from Quiet Place Day One, she voices the robot. So I don't know.
Well, that wouldn't be bad.
But yeah, Nyong'o, or however you pronounce her name. Yeah, but Wild Robot was great. It was great, very well done, very, very individual story and stuff like this. And yeah, I'd recommend if you like animated movies.
Cool. Remember the days when you waited a year for a film? Yeah. Even more than a year. Yeah. And I think it's just become disposable now, hasn't it? You know, there's just such a churn rate through. I mean, you know, what is it? I think it's down to about 12 weeks now, almost, pretty much, and maybe even less sometimes with the digital, from the cinema to the digital.
It's like I said about Craven. As soon as Craven came out, and you know this film underperformed hugely, I said, I'll put bets on that being available on digital streaming somewhere, video on demand kind of thing, before the new year, probably before Christmas. And lo and behold, it was up before Christmas.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I didn't mind Craven.
You didn't mind it?
I quite enjoyed it. I think it's one of those films again that people just want to hate for the sake of hating. They dislike what Sony do with these Spider-Man films. But I think it was, Rhino aside, I think it was better than Venom 3. I enjoyed it more. I think Aaron Taylor-Johnson was decent in it. It wasn't as special effects heavy as the others. I thought it was, I had no, I'm not saying it's it certainly didn't make my top 10 or anything like that, but it wasn't as bad as what people made it out to be.
No, I thought Venom 3 was very lackluster and just, well, the first film I enjoyed, the second one not so much, and really this one, the third one, just carried on from the second one, didn't it? Just not really, pushing the story. Well, there was no real story to it, was there?
I think they're good. They're decent background noise films.
Yeah.
You can put them on if you don't want to think about anything and watch them, especially the first one. And I didn't mind the second one as much when I watched it again. But the problem is as Chris would know, it's given the Venom lore in the comics and this sort of a thing, and these characters, it's just a load of missed opportunity. You've turned, Carnage is a big character. Carnage is, when Carnage was first came out in the comics, he was a scary character. He was a formidable character, and the idea of, Venom himself was bad enough at that point, before he became the Lethal Protector, before he was turned from a villain into like an anti-hero. Venom was kind of a scary enough on his own. Scary is probably the wrong word, you know, but as a foe to Spider-Man. And then you got Carnage come about that joins with a geezer who's you wouldn't have in society anyway, you know, a psychopath who murders people, joining with a symbiote. And it's just wasted in the film. It's just wasted. And then the third film, you've got, you know, Stephen Graham, who's a decent actor in his own right, who's set up in the second film as something which is made to look like the character of Toxin. Chris would know, Toxin, don't you? Yeah. The police officer who's got Venom symbiote with him. And then he's unceremoniously dispatched in the third film in literally a blink and you'll miss it moment. Literally, if you've turned your head, you'd have missed him getting sucked into that creature and spat out the back. And these other Venom symbiotes that come to be have more to do than him. When the other symbiotes latch on to these other characters or these other people that are doctors and that in this or whatever, scientists in this place, in Area 51, they latch on to them, and they've got more to do than what the Stephen Graham character did. It's just wasted.
Yeah, it just goes back to the fact that you've got a good actor there who could have really brought out that character development, but they don't seem to want to do that. They just want to throw it all on the screen and, oh well, you're seeing all this going on, so isn't that enough?
And this is one of those examples where I say that people are very accepting of essentially crap, because the writing in it, you've got, it's just when you think about the geography of stuff, right? And they treat the audience like they're idiots, because you have something occur. You have this incident occur where you've got Venom takes on the horse and is galloping with Eddie Brock on its back. Then the army guys appear with that Ejiofor guy, whatever his name is, the actor, who's come out of Area 51 on one of the military airplanes, got there to him. What occurs. Then he's back at the base. And it's kind of like, well, what's the geography of this stuff? Is this just happening? And then in Area 51 in it, and you've got Rhys Ifans, who I enjoyed in the film. I thought, okay, here we go. Rhys Ifans is pretty good. He plays that sort of bum fella who's looking for aliens. And they go to Area 51, and they're there at the fence line, and there's like 100 meter beyond is like the setup of where they've got these aliens. So they're there with and you're thinking, is this being written for idiots or something? It's just seriously, it's just Brighton is atrocious that they let in these films. Anyway, what do you think?
Makes you wonder whether a lot of this is the writers. I mean, how long did that writers' strike go on for? Was it over a year, 2 years?
No, it wasn't that long.
At least it was about a year, weren't it? Or the majority of a year. I think it was more focal point. Most of 2023, I think.
Was it that long? Wow.
Yeah, it was going a lot of it behind the scenes and stuff, because you'll notice that like some shows shut down at first, and more TV shows were affected and stuff like this. And I think that's hindered a lot of stuff, and stuff was pushed back. I mean, I think Tom Hardy helped write Venom 3.
Oh yeah, that
kind of might explain a little bit there.
Yeah, and that's always a bad sign, isn't it? When the main actor who then gets involved in the writing. I know that happened with Daniel Craig on Quantum of Solace. He was kind of asked to do a bit of writing, and again, it's just crazy. The actor's there to do the acting, not the bloody writing. Well, let's hope that, like I say, with that now sorted, we start to see some decent scripts coming through, with some actual narrative that makes more sense, because I think as an audience we are getting a bit fed up with just lackluster films. You get one or two now and again, you know, that are really good. But then again, I mean, I know we look back at a lot of sort of the older films and that, but was there a lot of dross as well in the 80s? Probably was. Probably still a lot of dross. You know, I mean, a lot of these sort of low budget horror films that some of these boutique labels chuck out, that, you know, the artwork looks absolutely fantastic and that, but when you watch the films, they're just dross, aren't they?
But the thing is when you go back to like the 80s and 90s and films that were considered not great back then, a lot of them you watch now and you know they're elevated by the crap that you today, and you go back and you rewatch some of those films and you think, actually, you know, when you compare it, that's not that bad.
Yeah.
Not that bad when you compare it to today's standards.
Yeah, true. I think there is that. I mean, I think there still are a lot of dross stuff that did come out. You know, I think maybe we look back at the 70s and 80s because there were some great films made, but were they like? I don't think there was as many films came out each year as there are now. So maybe because of the volume of films, we just get one or two that are really good, but the majority are just mediocre or, you know, poor.
No, I think a lot of films don't get the opportunity to be made today. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people. It's probably a lot of great scripts of smaller character-driven movies that are just overlooked and turned down.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, just because of money.
Yeah,
you know, they don't want to invest in it because they're not sure that it'll do very well. Hence the reason why some of the lower budget films that are really good stories or are done really well on a budget will go on to make a load of money, but then they'll jump on it and say, right, okay, so now we can spend more money on the second film, and it's not always going to be as good as the first one. There we go. Imjam says it's been a year of sequels. Yeah, I mean, I think this has been going on for some time now, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's every year now.
Pretty much.
Remakes.
Yeah, reboots. Thoughts on bringing films back? I guess BK back for nostalgia purposes. Well, yeah, I think again it's just an easy cash in, isn't it?
It's brand recognition, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the way they see it. If you've got a brand name, hence why sequels and remakes. Because if you've got a brand name, they see it as they're inevitably they're going to make a certain amount of money to start with based upon that.
Yep. The Three Musketeers in the house. Yep. That's from your thumbnail, Chris.
That's what I want to know. Which one of us is which?
Joker 2 was a completely different story for me. It worked perfectly. Yeah, I think it's got its audience, definitely.
I'd be Porthos.
Okay, you've been a muscle then. Okay.
No, he's a fat one, isn't he?
Well, it depends what version you're referring to, like Man in the Iron Mask and stuff. But like the later versions is the powerhouse of it.
Yeah.
Morning, Rob.
Robert Fett and the Bounty Bunch. Morning.
Well, Rob.
So yeah. So what was your worst film of 2024? One film that you just absolutely thought this is the worst film ever for this year. I've got one.
You go first then, Matt. If you've got one, I'm going to look.
Madam Web. Madam Web. Just thought it was terrible. Yeah, that's
I
for me.
can't. I haven't done a worst of the year. I haven't. I can't even. You know. I mean, I was just slagging off Thingy, weren't I? Quiet Place
Quite place.
massively, only because it annoyed me so much. Not
Yeah.
it's the worst film of the year. I mean, there's films that I've switched off. There's films that but I seriously, I haven't done a worst of the year because I don't really want to. I don't really want to spend time thinking about. I don't really want to put myself in that negative headspace of
Yeah.
having to think of making up the film a list of 10 films or whatever of I'm negative enough as it is at the moment, with everything that's gone on this year for me that you two know. It's just I need to see this year out and say goodbye to it completely.
Yeah.
It's been awful.
We'll say A Quiet Place day one for you. There we go. Worst film.
I'm sure there's worse. Worse.
How about you, Chris?
I would say there's two more personal.
Oh, you can only have one. No, only one.
Okay, personally, then I'd probably say I think I've rated this the worst, the Crow remake.
Yeah, you didn't like that at all.
I said I think I split my rating and said I rated it as a movie, and it wasn't very good as a movie, and as a Crow movie, it was even worse. But yeah, if you take, it just seems that I don't know what they were thinking. There were a lot of elements that just didn't work as a film in general, and there was a few good elements, but I think they kind of forgotten the whole idea of the story in the first place.
So, because Crow's your favourite film.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, well, Crow is my favourite film, and I like it because I like the story and obviously James O'Barr and everything that happens to him. Not in a good way, but I can understand where the story's there, and it's all about this couple or a couple that are in love, and unfortunately something bad happens. Whereas this one, the two main characters are just they're druggies, are involved in the wrong sort of people, and just one of them happens to come across a recording of this evil guy, and that kills them. And then the whole point is obviously Eric's brought back, as you know from the film, and the Crow is his kind of guide. But in this one, it's like he comes to this nether realm, and he gets sent back, and then he doesn't do a very good job and gets killed again, and he gets sent back, and then he's back in the nether world, and they go, "Oh, don't worry, have another go." So he has another go, and then he starts worrying about if he loves her or not. And then the bloke's like, "Oh, don't worry, you can have another go." And I'm like, kind of defeats the purpose of being in love. And even, I say, the two characters they meet in this kind of drug rehab place, and within 2 scenes, they're magically in love, and then they break free. And then they're and it's just it doesn't portray the kind of idea of love and these characters being in love and pure and all this stuff. And I get it, you try to modernize it, but it just doesn't work in a lot of places. It almost kind of took elements like John Wick and a few other things, throw it all together and go, yeah, this will work, and it just doesn't.
Yeah.
So just out of curiosity, what was the other one?
I was going to say Borderlands. Again, big fan of the game. I thought the movie was so underused, the wrong actors. It was literally, we'll bring in a few popular actors to sit this. It didn't match with any of the games, and just the story in general, it didn't make sense. Again, they tried to shove too many characters in there and tried to have too much storyline going on rather than keeping it simple to open people's eyes to the world of Borderlands. But I know you liked it, you like Cate Blanchett, but I thought wrong.
The only reason I asked that question was because Crow is where the original Crow is one of your favourite films. Do you know what I mean? So it kind of.
I mean, I like the games.
The other choice was.
Yeah. No, I mean, I say, if they had just taken the time and done a good story and had good actors and and it just wasn't received well, then I would have been fair enough. But it just, as I say, they're just stuff that didn't quite work for me. For those, but it is what it is. So.
What did you say yours was, Matt? Did you say yours? My mind's
Man and Web.
Oh, yeah, Man and Web.
Yeah. That was dreadful.
Oh. Yeah.
Right. Anyway, so let's now move on to the second half of the stream, and let's look forward to a new year, 2025. Let's try and be positive now.
Okay.
What films are you looking forward to that are coming up?
I'll be honest here. Let me just say that I've got no idea of what is coming. Of what?
Okay. All right.
God, seriously, I don't. It's funny. I know. Chris, you done a video of upcoming, didn't you?
Yeah. I would have thought there was one that you would have in your mindset as the trailer dropped recently.
Oh, Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mind that trailer. That was I quite like the sort of comic book thingy for it. The sort of Justice League Unlimited kind of feel. That kind of Superman element, I quite, but I'll say that I don't. When I was younger, and I was, I used to read, I used to visit websites, whatever, about upcoming stuff and all this sort of thing, and I don't do that anymore. I'm, a film can come out of nowhere, and I got no idea that it was even being made, and it's like, bam, oh wow, okay, look, they've made another one of them. Seriously, I don't know if it's just if it's just life's too busy with stuff going on, or if I don't actually care too much because of how let down each year seems to leave me feeling, that I don't bother looking forward. So I'm gonna have to chime in on stuff that you two say with upcoming films. But no, yeah, Superman. I will say I liked the look of the trailer.
Yeah,
I like the return to the hopefulness, the sort of the comic book, giving us a comic book Superman on screen, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
More so than what we've got before. I mean, I will say that it's quite ironic that it's kind of reflected what I said about the Batman, in that I said, if you remember when the Batman came out, we've seen the Batman films get darker and darker over time. With over the decades, we've had the Tim Burton films. I know they went a bit lighter after that, but you had the Tim Burton films, you had the Nolan films, which stepped more into darkness and real world, and then you've had the Batman itself, which stepped completely dark, to a point where I said, what comes next? What do you do next after this? I goes, you've got no choice but to step back into the light. You can't go any darker than what they've given you with Matt Reeves' Batman. And the irony is that that's what James Gunn is doing with the DC universe now, is that they've taken a step back into the lightness after the Zack Snyder stuff, which was pretty damn dark. And I'm interested. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with Batman the Brave and the Bold, because that's got to match this Superman world. I don't think you can work Matt Reeves' Batman into this Superman world. You've got to step back and give you a lighter version of Batman. So they've exactly what I said. Essentially, what I said would happen is kind of happening. And I look forward to it.
Yeah, I have heard that Batman Brave and the Bold has been postponed indefinitely at the moment, though.
Yeah, but then they keep saying then the Batman 2 has been pushed back to 2027 now.
Yeah.
Again, keeps getting delayed.
Yeah.
By the time that film comes out, he's going to be like in his early 40s. Oh, what's his name?
Yeah.
But
I get a sense from the trailer for Superman that, and again, I think this is where James Gunn seems to shine, and I think this is where Guardians of the Galaxy did so well. He brought obviously unknown characters to the big screen, lesser known comic book characters. But I think he is able to bring a lot of emotion into his films that people connect with. And I think that's his strong point. And I think one of the reasons why that Superman trailer, worked so well was Krypto. Bringing a dog into it, even though it's supposedly a super dog, the way they've done it, I think people like that. And I think, people love dogs. And just that little scene with Krypto sort of coming up, licking his face and, pulling him, I think that connects with people. And I think that's James Gunn's, hopefully, his ace card, that he'll always put emotion into a film, which, I think the thing that concerns me a little bit is it going to be too busy, too many characters in the film. That's my biggest concern with it. But it was nice to see sort of a vulnerability with him straight off. He comes pounding into the snow, beaten up already. I mean, that's the last thing you expect, isn't it? Superman to be kind of cut, bleeding. He's supposed to be almost a god that can be, we can't be touched by humans. But that was an interesting sort of spin on it. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with the trailer.
It depends on what you want to make his power level, doesn't it? Really.
Hmm.
One of the problems with Superman as a character is that he is all too powerful. So it makes writing a formidable foe difficult. It makes
Absolutely.
it hard to do. So it depends on whether they decide to put a level on ultimately on his powers.
Mm. What about you, Chris? What did you think of the Superman trailer?
No, I must admit, I was in. I mean, I hope it actually does really well now. I mean, and I think I said on the comment, the trailer hadn't dropped when I dropped my video, so it wasn't in there. I was very much in the camp like you, Matt. Like, there was so many characters. It's a new universe. We're all getting sick of comic books, and I was negative. I was like, I don't really care. And then having watched the trailer, and I've actually watched the trailer a fair few times now, I actually hope it does really, really well. I'm quite excited for the movie now. There are some. I think I made some similar. There are a few scenes in there. Like his Clark Kent looks like Richard Ayoade to me. The hair and the glasses.
Yeah,
that is. That's all I see. Lex Luthor. I think there's a scene. He reminds me of Hitman. But you can't help but make those comparisons because obviously of everything you've watched and something. But apart from those, I actually look forward to it. And yeah, I hope it actually does well. Whether that leads to something more, a bigger universe and done better, who knows? But I'm actually quite excited for it for a change. So it's good that all that negativity, I think, building up to that trailer, and even I think the day before, I think it was a teaser trailer for a teaser trailer. What that was all about. But I think a lot of people are like, oh, another superhero movie. And I don't think I've heard a negative word since the trailer's been dropped. So
it's been received quite well, I think. Yeah. And it's got a lot of views.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most viewed trailers for Warner Brothers of all time. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a success. Good, yeah. There's been a lot of films where the trailer's been fantastic and, the film's not been great. But, let's keep positive and let's hope that it's going to be good, And at the end of the day, it's like we've already said with a lot of these films, it's about the characters. As long as you've got good characters, a good story, and the actors are fairly decent, it should do well. But if you've got a rubbish story, scripts all over the place, not much character development, it's just going to bomb again, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we've got that one. What about 28 years later? Now, obviously, this will be the third film in the 28 franchise, I guess, as we know now. What do you think of that one?
I think they should have waited another 7 years.
Yeah.
Aaron Taylor ain't it, so he's now the lead in it. I'm all right. I mean, I liked 28 days. I like 28 weeks.
Yeah.
Interesting how Cillian Murphy fits into this world. Will it just be a cameo and it's more Aaron Taylor?
Yeah, that's my impression. I think it's going to be a bit more of a. But I might be wrong.
No, I mean, the only thing for me is what new will it bring? I mean, back when they brought out 28 Days Later was such a revolutionized movie, and now we've had like World War Z, The Walking Dead, and all these other zombie movies, iZombie. You know, what new thing will this bring, or will it just be a kind of another one that just goes over people's heads? Who knows?
Yeah.
That's the problem. As much as I like the zombie genre anyway, I have no issue with it. But you know, it has going now for some. Zombie genre has been going, heavily for over 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, since almost 25 years, I think that's been, had quite a bit of success over all that time. It's that's the problem. Is what can it give you that's fresh?
Yep. What about another Karate Kid film? There's another one coming.
Yeah.
Again, based on obviously the original. You've got.
It's both. Have you not seen the trailer?
Yes, it's got Jackie Chan in it.
Yeah. So the Jaden Smith movie. It's that Jackie Chan character meeting up with Daniel LaRusso.
Yeah,
and they're both training a new Karate Kid.
Yeah,
right. The trailer looks all right. I think the kid's an unknown. He does actually seem to know martial arts, and that I think it's worth giving a go. It'll be interesting because obviously it comes out, I think, after the last season or last part of the last season of Karate, Cobra Kai.
Yeah,
I need to watch that. So I'm interested where Daniel LaRusso is in comparison to that, and obviously, I assume Jackie Chan's more or less a Mr. Miyagi character, kind of. But it's interesting enough. Trailer gives me enough, confidence. It may be okay. We shall see.
I think that's the problem. Is the Cobra Kai stuff is the issue, and where Cobra Kai leaves these characters. Whether this film is a fit to that or whether it's not, if that makes sense. Because I haven't seen, I've seen none of Cobra Kai this latest season.
Okay,
I've not seen any of it.
Yeah, I know it's 15 episodes, the final season, and they've done the first 2 parts, so 10 episodes, and I think the last few episodes are out early next year sometime. That's when I'll watch them. Is when when I can watch all 15 of them back to back. But it depends on where that leaves these characters, whether it makes sense.
Cool. It's going to be a new Jurassic World film, Jurassic World Rebirth. What do we think to this? Obviously, Scarlett Johansson, she's going to be the main sort of lead in it. I mean, after the last Jurassic World film, which had all the legacy characters come back into it, again, a bit like Ghostbusters, I guess. That one didn't really work, did it? Because, it sort of went off on the locust story rather than, obviously there were, dinosaurs in it, but it was more about the locusts, which didn't really work, did it?
No, I don't think it did. It was underused. It's too crowded, and the elements trying to bring everyone together just didn't work, which kind of ruins the first trilogy, or the first movie, I should say, because most of them aren't really in much of the first trilogy except for Grant. and ruined, I think, the second trilogy a little bit. It just depends where they want to go, where this is starting up. I mean, I've not seen anything to know.
No, there's no trailer yet, is there?
Yeah, is this another island? Is this like Isla, I don't know, Barry or something? And there's dinosaurs on this one that we've not seen in the first ones, and they're trying it again, or what? That's it needs to be a fresh idea. They've done a lot of other stuff, but we shall see.
Yeah.
Ain't what people clamoring for, isn't it? You know, a Jurassic World. I mean, I'm talking about a world where dinosaurs have now become the dominant species, and we're, more in hiding from them.
Bit like Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Isn't that the kind of thing that people want? Isn't that the kind of thing that this franchise has sort of promised it's leading to all the time and just never got there?
Could be.
Otherwise you're just doing the same thing again. Jurassic World, the first Jurassic World was a remake of Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
That's all it was. It was a remake of Jurassic Park dressed up as a sequel. It came at that same era in time where you had The Force Awakens, which was clearly a remake of A New Hope dressed up as a sequel, where Creed came out, and Creed was a remake of Rocky dressed up as a sequel. They'd done this era of these clever marketing and writing where they remade a film, but new characters, same story, exactly the same story as the first one, new characters, but we'll throw in a few little elements that make it look like a sequel.
Yeah.
And that's what they've done.
But they did work, didn't they? They did work.
They did work, yeah. But you can't do that again.
No.
You'd be stupid to do that again.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Obviously, I think this year sees us bring back some Marvel stuff as well, doesn't it now?
Yeah.
Speaking of new films, a year of no Marvel, apart from, ironically, Deadpool Wolverine, obviously, last year, but this year, just gone, this year that was ending, ironically, it did feel like Sony stepped in to fill that void.
Yeah.
With Madam Web, Venom 3 and Craven all in 1 year.
Yeah.
And you got to wonder whether there was something behind that, in that they saw there's no Marvel stuff coming out, proper Marvel Studios films. This gives us our opportunity to throw 3 films out there and they'll go and do wonders because there's no Marvel stuff. And we've got the Marvel name attached. Obviously that didn't come to pass, but but obviously we're seeing the return of Marvel to the cinemas this coming year with Captain America, Thunderbolts. Any others, Chris? I know of them too. You'd know better than me.
I think of off the top of my head. Fantastic Four, first step.
Yeah, Fantastic Four, yeah.
I think that's the only other one I can think of.
3 films. Yeah, 3. Captain America, Brave New World. I'm not sure about that one. I think I don't know because it was a TV series. I get a TV vibe from it more than cinematic vibe. But
I feel that's gonna flop.
Yeah, so do I.
That's got to make a lot of money to break even anyway, because the reshoot after reshoot after reshoot that film has had. And while I've got no issue with Anthony Mackie stepping up into the role of Captain America, because the comic's done that anyway, got no issue with that. I think I have issue with him leading his own film. I think he should have been more of a character that came about in other films rather than giving him a Captain America led movie.
Yeah,
I
agree.
And I'm wondering whether they're hoping that the Hulk element will be their saving grace, so to speak. That people don't want to see Red Hulk. They couldn't give a toss for Red Hulk. They like Hulk. They want to see Hulk do what Hulk does. But I don't think people care for Red Hulk.
It's interesting. Sorry, you go back.
I was going to say, interesting casting though. You obviously got Harrison Ford, popular actor. Maybe that's their hope that he will interject something into it, which will,
Well, I don't think he's necessarily a box office draw now, though, Harrison Ford.
Maybe no, especially with the last two Indiana Jones films not doing that great. Yeah.
What do you want to say about it, Chris?
No, I was just going to say, I'm interested in how they're going to try and have that magically Thunderbolt Ross has turned into the Hulk. That will be an interesting. But I think for the trailer with Jim Franco Esposito, gets the feel of, if you ever saw the Secret Invasion TV series, it almost feels like that. There's action within the government trying to throw him off.
Yeah.
Here it is exactly the same, but yeah, you just have Hulk and Falcon, and new Captain America.
But the thing that winds me up, that does annoy me, like you say that, because obviously, the Secret Invasion TV show amounted to nothing.
Yeah,
it's like it doesn't exist. When we last saw Nick Fury, which was at the end of Spider-Man, I believe, and he was on board the it was Spider-Man, wasn't it? Because it was actually a Skrull, and he was on board up in space. He's then come back down, does what he does in Secret Invasion, and then by the time you get to the Marvels, he's back up in space again, almost like that hasn't taken place, right? Because there's been no impact from that on that, and then Thingy leaves us at the end, and I quite like the place that it left us, Secret Invasion, which was the stuff with the president, and all that, and obviously that's been discarded because now you've got Harrison Ford, Ross in the presidential role, come Captain America. So that whole Secret Invasion, it just amounted to nothing. It's like it just doesn't exist.
Didn't even bother with that because I heard it was kind of, not canon sort of thing. So I didn't even bother watching it.
Yeah.
So we've got John Robinson. Just thanks for joining. He says Superman's his most anticipated film. And he says he's lost interest in what Marvel's coming out.
No, I would say, I agree with Chris here. Thunderbolts looks decent. Yeah, fingers crossed for that.
Yeah.
I think I like the fact that Thunderbolts, it's giving these other characters the opportunity that they haven't been given.
Yeah.
All these smaller characters that you've had in other films, other projects, headlining this film, being, so there's that, and that looks okay.
It's kind of like the Guardians of the Galaxy of sort of, hopefully side of things. I don't know.
Well, yeah, that's how it was first planned. So originally, I've forgotten the guy's name now. The guy from DC who we were just been talking about, Superman.
James Gunn.
Yeah, he was meant to do the Thunderbolts. It was part of his kind of contract with them.
Okay.
They didn't give him enough time, so he went off to DC and made Suicide Squad, which essentially is.
Oh yeah, Suicide Squad. That was it.
Yeah. So James Gunn said, like, I've done my Thunderbolts movie with DC. I don't need to come back. He did his Guardians 3, obviously, after all that palaver, and then went off to DC. I if you like the comics, you could have fitted it between a 5-year blip. But yeah, as AJ says, it's showing these small characters, but I think that gives them an edge because you've already introduced the characters. We don't need to know who Bucky is, who Ghost is, who Elena is. Here are the characters. Let's give us a good story. Not.
Yeah. And you've got an interesting group of characters that are all in their own right. are interesting. I know Bucky's had quite a fair bit to do, but you can still do a lot with him. Yelena's had a little bit, you know, but a lot of the others, yeah, they haven't. I think it's. I don't know about James Gunn directs it. I'm quite happy he is. I mean, I like the Suicide Squad that he done, so I'm glad that, you know, I don't know what I don't know. I'm comparing things to things that, you know, wouldn't be anyway if he did do it. But yeah, it looks good. It looks good. But like you say, with the 5-year blip, that would have been the perfect time to have had that story set, you know, do the sort of because for me the Thunderbolts, I'm reminded of the aftermath of Civil War, in the comics, which is when the heroes where villains were used to
round up the good guys,
and all that sort of a thing, and it's unfortunate that, you know, the blip, that period of time has never been. We've never seen anything during that period of time in the Marvel Universe, which I think, you know, which I think is a shame. So it would have been nice to have had a film set somewhere in that, you know, and Thunderbolts would have been the perfect one, given how that, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's happened in the comics with them.
Just rewinding, Chris, back to the Crow remake.
Yeah,
Clicks and Pixels. He's just got a little comment there for you. The Opera House means nothing to me because I haven't seen the film, but yeah,
I started watching it and I switched. Couldn't be bothered.
Yeah, essentially the Opera House scene is his John Wick. He just goes, basically there's armed guards. The guy he needs to get to is in the Opera House, and he just goes through floor after floor of killing people. It was set up all right, but again, you know, the Crow character, he was portrayed more as John Wick, whereas I think from the early one, he did go after the bad guys, but he only went after specific guys, whereas it was just, let's just throw every single person at him, which my mentality always for these movies, like Stormtroopers, if Lev sent 50 guys after the guy and he kills them all, if you're 51, would you really go, yeah, do you know what? I can take him out. I'd be like, no, you don't pay me enough. I'm off.
Yeah. Now, I just don't. There's no need to remake The Crow. The Crow Brandon Lee film was absolutely fantastic. You know, to me, it's like trying to remake Enter the Dragon. Why would you do that? You don't need to do it. You know, it's just perfect as it is. It's such a great film. Just leave it alone. You know, and well, this remake proves. I mean, I know there were other sequel films that were made, and I have this series to watch.
Yeah,
I'll get into those.
Very 90s. I'll give it up. But yeah, I'm interested to see. I mean, the whole point of The Crow is it's somebody who was killed or taken away, and they want kind of revenge for it. The story can be used in so many different ways, but they just, you know, why keep it Eric and Sherry and all this stuff? I mean, the original, or one of the original stories was Jason Momoa, and he was a small town cop. His family get killed, so kind of a bit Frank Castle type thing. He gets killed, and then he comes back to avenge his family. Something new, something we haven't seen. You know, you have a Crow riding him. I thought it would have at least been interesting, but yeah, they just went with what they did. So, sorry, I could talk for ages on this. I'll shut up.
No, that's all right. So, Flicks and
Pixels, got 2 hours.
I had a real issue with Zack Snyder's Superman. It was so far from what Superman is all about. I'm excited for the new one. It looks as though it's bringing back to what Superman is all about. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed Man of Steel. I liked Henry Cavill. I thought he did a good job. That for me probably was one of the best of the DC films, apart from Snyder's Justice League. I enjoyed Batman v Superman as well. But yeah, I guess his Clark Kent wasn't. It was just him. He was just Superman, wasn't he? That's what Christopher Reeve brought to Superman, was the the two characters. He did it perfectly, and I think that's what people would like to see again. So hopefully this new guy will be able to do that. Certainly the look. I mean, I know the hair looks a bit wild, but you've got to make him look different to Superman, because otherwise there's no point in the Clark Kent character, is there, if he doesn't look different? I mean, I always thought, why not change the colour of his eyes? Clark Kent could have brown eyes, and then he could just, switch them to blue eyes, because eye colour can change a look of a person. I've never understood why they've not done that, but they go with the glasses, the hair. But yeah, he's got to have a different persona, and he does look a little bit clumsy in that trailer, where he kind of I think he thought, he knocks into somebody, and so hopefully there's going to be that, sort of clumsiness that Christopher Reeve brought.
There is a good. He looks different in the Clark Kent to the Superman role, most definitely.
Yes, yeah, he does. Yeah,
he carries himself different between one and the other. Like Christopher Reeve did. I've, for me, I mean, I like Zack Snyder's trilogy. But I don't really like Henry Cavill. I didn't, it's really difficult. It's going to sound so stupid. So I saw someone write something, and it makes perfect sense. And they wrote, Henry Cavill was a good Superman. Henry Cavill was a good Superman, but his Superman isn't a good Superman. Right. If that makes sense. And I get exactly what they're saying. His Superman isn't. It's not Superman. That's the problem. It's not. It misses the complete point of the character. I liked Henry Cavill in the first one. In Man of Steel, I didn't mind him, but I went off of him. I went off of him quickly, much like I went off of the little idiot who plays Spider-Man now.
Tom Holland.
Oh yeah. Tom Holland.
I don't care if I mean Henry Cavill's not done very good in Hollywood. Most of his films are flopped anyway. I wouldn't mind if I never saw the guy again in anything. Honestly, I don't like him. Same with Tom Holland, but I don't mind the Zack Snyder trilogy of films. I mein, luckily in Batman versus Superman, he ain't got nothing to say. His lines are limited to nothing, and in Zack Snyder's Justice League, obviously, he doesn't come about until the end anyway. But they didn't know how to handle these characters anyway. They should never have gone into. You've come to the end of the Man of Steel, with this character being disliked essentially because of the destruction of Metropolis and him causing a lot of that, being party to the loads of deaths. And you saw this sort of, and then you go into Batman versus Superman with them wanting to give you a storyline where he's killed at the end and everyone's now mourning him. That's stupid. That's complete stupid. You needed a film in between. You needed a Man of Steel 2 to take this character where that character needed to be, to then have him killed and people care about it. Characters in that universe then care about it. That's what you needed. But they didn't want to do that. And again, it's all down to money, because Man of Steel never made the amount of money they were hoping for it to make.
No.
So what DC done was they used their ace card of Batman, bringing Batman into the fray, doing a film with Superman, then saying, "Oh, this film will do over $1 billion easy because you got Batman and Superman in the same film." And it should have done that sort of money with these two characters. Only then they lost faith in it. They showed that they lost faith in it because they backed down up against Civil War. That came out the same year as Civil War, and you've got Captain America and
Iron Man.
an Iron Man going toe to toe, and these two characters are more B-list Marvel characters.
Mm.
They're more of the B-list at that point. They were B-list Marvel characters.
Yeah.
And you got Batman and Superman, who are two, and Wonder Woman thrown into the fray as well, into like the holy trinity of DC characters, and they backed down up against that.
Yeah.
And the film, I think it only went on to make something like 850 million, if I'm not mistaken.
874.4 million.
Thank you.
Oh, man.
I looked it up just as you were saying. Let's see how much Civil War took in comparison.
Civil War took over $1 billion. About 1 just over 1 billion.
Yeah.
I'm having a look as we speak.
And I think Man of Steel only made about 650 maybe when that came out. And
1.5 billion Civil War made.
Yeah.
And it had a 250 million budget, whereas Batman Superman went up to 325. It said so. It made over 4 times its budget. And then what was the Man of Steel? Man of Steel.
I think Man of Steel made about 650. It's between 650 and 700, if I'm remembering rightly.
670. So almost in the middle. You were
do you know what I mean? These are not amounts that they were expecting. They were expecting more.
Yeah.
And that's what made them do Batman versus Superman as the follow up. But as you know, Chris, you know you've got Batman versus Superman, and what that film has done wrong completely is that has messed up the Dark Knight Returns story. Right, because it incorporates that. It messes up the whole Death of Superman story. Do you know, these are things that they should have been working towards. That DC should have been working towards giving them.
They're just trying to get it in quick, weren't they?
Yeah,
trying to compete with Marvel.
But so for me, like I said, Henry Cavill, I'm not sad to see the back of him as Superman at all.
No,
in the least.
That's fair enough. Right. Let's crack on with a few other films that are going to be coming out. What about a kind of live action version of How to Train Your Dragon? Did you know that was going to be coming out?
Yeah.
Is that something you're looking forward to?
So I'm very conflicted. So I really like the animated series. If you've ever seen it, it's very cleverly done.
Yeah.
If you watch, I mean, it hasn't, I think it's it probably only been 10 years since the first one, and they've got it back. But live action, it's the CG almost looks like it's from the animation side of things. So essentially you are just redoing the animated movie, but just putting actors in half of the film to play the humans, if that makes sense. And I'm a bit like, what's new? What's different on it? I mean, even like Gerard Butler plays a dad. He's playing the dad again.
Yeah.
But I don't see it bringing anything new to it.
They're jumping on the Disney bandwagon, aren't they? Of obviously, doing all these remakes and things. Yeah.
But I'd like for it to do well, but I feel it'll bomb. I feel like people are just going to go, what new will it bring to me? I've seen the original. I can buy it for like £2 in CX or £1 on DVD. What is this actually different? But we'll see.
Okay. And then moving on.
I've never seen it. I've never seen one. The animated.
Haven't you?
It's good.
Oh, very good. Yeah, the films are very good.
Well, I'm sure
you want a Blu-ray copy of it?
Why, you got a spare?
Yeah, I got a steelbook, didn't I, a little while ago? So I've got a Blu-ray.
Yeah, I'll have a watch it.
Make a change. Give you.
So what about as well Disney doing a live action of Snow White? Now, isn't this one where there's been a lot of controversy around the
Rachel Zegler,
the little people?
Weird.
Yeah, they're not
dwarves
or midgets or whatever the proper term is. Apologies. Yeah, it's all normal people just shrunk down. and obviously Wonder Woman is the Wicked Witch or Maleficent. Or
Gal
whatever.
Gadot. She,
Yeah, Gal Gadot. She is, which people have said Gal Gadot's character is scared of Snow White because she's so beautiful. When everybody's like comparing the two, obviously, I don't know. I think there's just been too much publicity around it, and I think that Rachel, I think, she's. I don't know. I've liked stuff with her in like In the Heights and I can't think, and the Hunger Games. I thought she was all right in the last one, but I don't know. I think she's trying to flog a bit of a dog, a horse, or whatever the term is. It's she's
just disrespected everything, though, isn't she?
Mm.
That's the problem. She's disrespected the IP. She's she's been caught out lying about stuff. She's just come across as, and I find watching her, all the stuff about her, quite interesting. You know, she's a horrible person. She comes across as a horrible person, right? Who you know, when you got someone saying, "Oh, you know, I should be paid for every hour. I should be paid for every hour that this film is streamed because I had to spend time in that dress." In the Snow White dress and all this sort of thing. It's, you know, and then she's slagging off the original Snow White. She's slagging it off. She's saying it's weird. It's about a man that's that the prince is stalking her and all this stalks Snow White in it and all this sort of thing. Yeah. You know, she's you know. And it's not about this girl trying to find true love. It's about this girl trying to be, you know, the leader she knows she can be, and all this sort of stuff.
Oh,
and then you've got, you know, and then people are saying that in the trailer, you've got, you know, the scene where she's tidying up the house with the dwarves. She's not doing it. She's making them do it. It's like, come on,
I'll give that a miss.
And this sort of thing. You know, she's comes across as a horrible person.
Yeah.
You know, then there's the stuff saying, oh, you know, the geezer who plays the prince, all this stuff might be edited out of the film anyway. This is Hollywood, baby, and all this. It's like, she comes across like about as likable as that girl who played the Acolyte in Star Wars, the Acolyte. You know, her in social media. Just that people were just, you know, I'm glad that Hollywood's people have turned their back on this girl. Seriously. She needs to be put in her place. She showed no respect for the source material, for audiences, she's just come in and she thinks she's like the best thing since sliced bread. She's only just stepped into Hollywood. You know?
Yeah.
There's no hustle at all in any way, shape, or form.
What do we think about the new Mission Impossible? Well, probably the final one.
The Final Reckoning.
The Final Reckoning. Although, is it the final Mission Impossible film? Because I read this morning that there's talks of Tom Cruise doing 2 more Mission Impossible films, but bringing in a younger Ethan Hunt, played by somebody else.
I mean, for me, I like the look of the trailer. I really like the look of the last one. I thought it didn't get enough recognition as it did, but I feel it should end. I feel with a lot of stuff like Star Wars that we've seen and like a lot of Marvel stuff, let's just cap all these franchises off and let's try and get some new ideas out there, some new stuff. I mean, I'm hoping it ends on a high. But I mean, how old can Tom Cruise keep doing what he's doing? I mean, they've already said like the next John Wick is in jeopardy at the minute because obviously Keanu Reeves says his knees, he doesn't feel he's up to it. And I'm like, well, yeah, you know, John Wick in a retirement home, like, that'll be the next one. But yeah, I mean, I like the look of, as I say, the Mission Impossible series. I mean, the last one really rejuvenated me, wanting to see more. And I've upgraded the whole lot to Blu-ray.
Yeah.
So I've got all them to watch before the new one comes out. But, I mean, he's been playing the role, what, 25 years? Mid-90s?
Yeah, he's 62 now, isn't he?
Was it 96?
96. 30
when the
years
first
almost.
one?
Then. Yeah.
That's a guess. I'm hazarding a guess there.
The thing is with him, if he gets any older, he's going to have to start doing Liam Neeson, sitting down a lot.
Well, I think the last Mission Impossible stands as probably my favourite. Dead Reckoning Part 1.
I think I preferred Fallout overall.
I see Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
Well, he was in it, but no, it was a good film, Fallout. I think.
Yeah, no, they've all been good. They've all been good for
Yeah.
the most part. But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
They've been good. They've been, consistently good. I think it is a travesty that it did underperform. The last one did underperform, and not many people went to see it.
Yeah.
But I could say the same about, Planet of the Apes as well. When War of the Planet of the Apes came out, no one went to see it. It didn't make that much money.
No.
And you compare it to the one before. And then it took us this amount of time to get this Planet of the Apes film. And even though they spin this Planet of the Apes film as a success, takings wise, it still isn't as good as what some of them, like Dawn of the Planet of the Apes was. And it makes me question whether we will get that as a trilogy or not.
Time will tell.
Anyway, what else you got?
Splitting back to, obviously, you mentioned John Wick. Obviously, we've got Ballerina that's going to be coming out next year. Ana de Armas kind of taking it's set between John Wick 3 and John Wick 4, I think. So, and it's focusing on her character as the ballerina, who they kind of touched on, in the third film. I like the look of the trailer for that. I thought it was one of the best trailers that I'd seen for films next year. I'm super excited to watch this film. I think it's going to be a hit. What do you reckon?
As long as it ain't 3 hours long, I'll be fine.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, you struggled with John Wick 4, didn't you? I think you found.
Yeah, he
killed everyone.
Anyway, that Ballerina, I've not seen the trailer. So, yeah, I'll watch it, obviously. I know it's another film that's had a load of reshoots, isn't it?
I've heard that, yeah.
But, yeah.
What do you think, Chris? Do you like the look of the trailer?
I've not actually seen the trailer, I don't think, to be able to say. I think a bit like AJ, after 4, I was a little bit... It wasn't something new to me. I did like I think I've said before he goes up the stairs, the bird's eye view where he's going around with those explosive ammunition. That stuff was good, and I wanted a bit shorter movie with a few more ideas. Like on the Pantebellum and that where he gets like the armor suit and stuff like that. Each movie bringing a few elements in like that I enjoy, but I just did struggle with it. I'll watch Ballerina. I do like Ana de Armas. Hopefully it is good, but we shall see.
The problem is you got John Wick, not exactly narratively driven movies. It's just action from the beginning to end, and constant action becomes boring. It becomes dull to watch because you're watching the same thing over and over again. The same fights, the same choreography. We've stretched out moments between them, which don't offer much in the way of narrative.
No.
But there we go.
Yeah.
As long as she doesn't have a dog to start off with. That's just...
Yeah. See, I never watched the Continental miniseries. I never did get around.
No, I think I did watch the first episode, but never really got into it.
Yeah, it was set like a long time ago. So obviously Ian McShane's character, it's basically him and his brother, and then how they kind of become part of the I mean, I enjoyed it for the world, but it's something so different because of none of the characters from the original movie series are in it. It's very much let's go back to how the Continental came about, you know, and it's what 50, 70 years or something like that. So they're quite old styles in that, and all these different new characters and stuff. But it was enjoyable for what it was. I thought anyway.
Okay. Stepping into the horror, I know we're not the biggest horror sort of collectors, but there are a couple of the sort of monster-verse films coming out. The Wolfman, which I think is it due out in January or February?
Yeah, January. I
think, yeah, from what I've seen, the Wolfman just looks terrible. The costume. I don't know whether either of you seen a trailer for it or.
I think.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, I was just to say. I say, like, yeah, I think in the first trailer he does look really bad. I think in the second trailer they've cut it a bit better, that you don't really see him as much. But sorry, dog. Yeah, Marty agrees. He says he looks.
So now I watched Werewolves the other night with Frank Grillo.
Okay, not seen it.
There's a werewolf film with him in.
All right.
And I don't know really. I don't know what to say about it because I quite like Frank Grillo and stuff. The werewolves were for the most part practical, practical suits, which was quite nice to see. But they were lit too much. They looked bad because of the lighting they decided to use while filming the werewolves. They were too visible, so they looked pretty bad. But yeah, but no, and obviously this year you've got Nosferatu just come out, haven't you?
Yeah, well, it comes out next New Year's Day, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In this,
yeah.
Is it? I think it's out in America. Is it?
Yeah,
it's not out here yet. Yeah, that's supposed to be getting some really good reviews, isn't it? Nicholas Hoult again, and what's his name? Green Goblin.
Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe. Yeah, I mean, I've never seen the original silent movie, but
yeah, for I'm more excited for. I think this year gives us on TV. You've got It, Welcome to Derry coming. The It prequel series. Set.
What, the Crown?
Yeah, 100 years ago or something. Set, I think. Something like that sort of thing. And also,
again, those It films don't really do much for me.
I really like them. The two It films I really like.
And just sort of silly.
And I think there's a Friday the 13th series coming as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So I'm more interested in that.
Alien Earth as well.
Yeah, Alien Earth's the other one, yeah.
Swimmer. Disney.
Yeah. Timothy
Did you
Oliphant.
know there's a Frankenstein film coming out next year as well?
No.
Yeah, Frankenstein. I think it's more sort of the Bride of Frankenstein kind of, viewpoint on it. But yeah. And then, of course, the film that everyone wants to see, Minecraft. Seriously.
Never played
No interest in that whatsoever.
Yeah, I'll watch it. I played it. Jack Black again. I mean, how many times can you reuse these people? The second trailer looks better than the first, but I reckon it's going to be like a really poor family-friendly movie.
Yeah. The Rock's not in it, is he?
No, it's Jason Momoa.
Oh. Yeah, sounds like the sort of film The Rock should be in, really.
Yeah, he was obviously busy.
Yeah. I noticed as well that Red One literally is gone, well, I think the 1st of December, it went straight onto Amazon Prime. Literally within a couple of weeks of it coming, because didn't you review it, AJ?
Yeah, it was
It
rubbish.
was absolutely terrible. And then straight away, it's on there. I mean, I haven't watched it, but
Yeah, but didn't Jimmy
yeah.
say that it was actually a Amazon Prime film that got a limited theatrical release?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
I didn't know that till Jimmy said that.
Okay.
That's Jimmy Boy's Movies. Anyone wondering?
Yeah. Great channel. Go and subscribe.
But yeah, no, I didn't like it because it's no. Did you see it, Chris? You must have seen
Yeah,
it.
yeah, right. I saw it. Like I thought it. Yeah, it was rubbish. And
I must have watched a review for it.
No, that's all right. But I think it's done really, really well on Amazon. So I was like,
I get that. It's the right time of year for it, but there's just no Christmas. You know, there's no goodwill in it. There's no Christmas cheer. There's no. It doesn't leave you feeling good about yourself or about Christmas, like what Christmas films are meant to do.
I think The Rock needed to be ejected from that movie. In my honest, nothing against him, but that character, it was more focused on him, wasn't it, more than anything? And then, and as you say, like the story, you have Chris Evans pops up and he doesn't get on with his kid, and then he still feels like that way. And then at one point, he just goes, "Oh no, I care about my kid now." I was like, "Where did that come from?"
Yeah. It weren't good. It weren't a good film. But yeah, Stephen said you got Vampires 4K out next year.
Yeah.
But is that Scream
Bon Jovi one?
No, that's the Bon Jovi one's the sequel.
Ah, okay.
Los Muertos, which is a straight to video film. The first Vampires film's got James Woods in it. John Carpenter's Vampires.
Yeah, John Carpenter. Yeah.
I think it's an underrated film and I like it.
Not seen it.
But there's talk that it might be. I think it's Scream Factory, isn't it? Stephen can confirm, but they're blocking some of their 4Ks now.
Oh, okay.
Making them so you can't play them in the
Region A,
not Region 3. Oh, that's crap.
Yeah, and you got a new Anaconda film out, which isn't them. They're going to. If I don't know too much about it, but I think that in the context of this film, the original Anaconda film is a film, and they're going to where it was filmed or something, and then get attacked by Anaconda or something stupid,
right?
Something like that. But the problem with that is that I've still yet to see a convincing snake on screen. I used to keep when I was younger. In my younger days, I used to keep a lot of exotic animals when I was a young lad, and snakes. I kept a lot of snakes, and they're not right on screen. They don't look right. Texture don't feel right, and they don't move right. They don't move as snakes would move, and so that's one of the big problems I have with snake movies. They don't feel like they're like they're snakes. Yeah, Scream Factory. Yeah.
So another one here that I think you got quite a vested interest in, Chris, is Michael, the Michael Jackson film that's coming out, the biopic.
Yeah, I mean, I say I grew up on him. I mean, and we've not had that much from. I think the last thing that was released was in like 2011. Was it This Is Life, which was the interviews and behind the scenes of his final tour before obviously his passing. And I think you've got his cousin or his nephew or something playing him in this, but they've not really detailed exactly what elements you will see. So I don't know if it's going to be a glamorous king of pop, this is everything, or will they show like the abuse from his dad and all the speculations? Or I mean, I like the music and stuff like this, and I think like Elvis did really well, Bohemian Rhapsody, Rocket Man. I actually quite like the look of That Better Man as well that's just come out with Robbie Williams as a chimp. So I'll give it a go.
Yeah. Heard of that one.
Yeah. I heard of it, didn't like it, saw the trailer at the beginning of Craven, and it actually looked quite good. So I'm going to give that a go. But yeah, I like Michael Jackson. That's why I'm going for it. But what it will actually be, if it will be any good, I can't tell you. There's not been a lot disclosed as of yet. Probably just more money for the family, ain't it? It's been a few years now. I'm sure they've burnt through most of it.
Yeah. Did you ever watch the Silent Hill films based
Yes.
on the on. Did you know there's a return to Silent Hill that's supposed to be coming out as well?
No. Okay. We'll
Yeah,
see
it
how
says
that.
when a mysterious letter calls him back to Silent Hill in search of his lost love, James finds one unrecognisable town and encounters terrifying figures, both familiar and new, and begins to question his own sanity.
Okay.
I have
makes sense.
seen the first film, but never watched the sequel. I don't think the sequel was that good, was it?
No, it's not that good. One was interesting. Obviously, it's a very. It reminds me kind of The Others. If you've ever seen that movie, obviously they go to a town and then you're kind of taken to an alternate reality that exists over normal reality. So
yeah, it's got a Resident Evil feel about it. I remember when the PlayStation game came out, it was kind of, that kind of ilk. Is that something that you ever watched, AJ? Did you ever
Silent
watch
Hill, first Silent Hill. I've never played the game.
Yeah.
The first film I saw back in the day when it came out.
Yeah.
Got
that guy with the pyramid head, haven't you?
But I can't remember
Much
nothing
about it.
So a new one would be of no interest to me.
Mm.
That's one I'll probably passed me by.
Yeah. Mickey 17. Now, you've mentioned this one, Chris. Again, what's his name?
Robert Pattinson.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of him, so I don't know whether this will appeal to me. But I know you've kind of mentioned this, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, it's from Bong. I can't pronounce it. The guy who did Parasite, so the Korean director.
Okay.
Obviously, won all the awards. It's his. He got given free reign by a company to do it. Obviously, this is a story where humans have gone to space. Obviously, when you go to space, you pick a job. Obviously, there is it's called a disposable type job, which he chooses, and essentially, you do a job, you get killed, they clone a new one of you, and what it is essentially, and then if the system breaks and they end up being two of you, then they wipe the whole chain out. And essentially, this is Robert Pattinson getting to Mickey 17, and then they clone him and make it Mickey 18, and the two exist, and they're going to be wiped out. And it's how he kind of rebels.
Okay. To me, that sounds a little bit like Moon.
Oh yeah. With Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell.
Yeah.
Quite enjoyed that. That was quite a good film.
Yeah, at the core, probably the same concept because
same idea, or similar.
I think
similar
they know
idea.
that they get cloned, but obviously I think it's kind of goes a bit haphazard. There may be some underlines because obviously if you've seen Parasite, it's very clever on how he takes the whole concept of a parasite leeching off of someone, and that's how a family work and all this stuff. And I thought Parasite was an amazing film. So hopefully it's been a few years. This is Mickey 17 is quite good, but we shall see. I think it was meant to be released in January. It got put back to April, and now it's been switched to March because they've swapped that and another movie around. I don't know what's going on with their release strategies. I think it's Warner Brothers. I might be wrong.
Okay. Tron 3, that's October.
Yeah, Aries.
Gerard Leto. What do you think of that one? You know, it's going to be any good?
It depends if they learn their lessons from the last one, Legacy.
I didn't mind the other one. I quite enjoyed it. I like the look of it. I like the soundtrack. But this one's going for far more of a heavy metal kind of vibe with it, I think. More industrial. That's the vibe from it.
Is it a continuation from the last one? Because at the end of the last one, weren't they coming into the real world or something?
Yeah.
And Finn died.
Yeah. Well, from what I've heard, Ares, played by Leto, he comes into the real world, and they're after him, I think. But that's all I kind of know. I know what's his name, Jeff Bridges is supposed to be back in it, but I don't think his son is in this one, and the girl. Yeah. So it's a loose connection, but the not really one, a sequel.
You know, visually it was decent. Narrative boring.
Yeah.
but will we see Bruce Boxer? That's what I want to know.
Boxlight.
Well, Tron.
Boxer, yeah, David Sheridan. That's all right.
Yeah,
That's
he's got to
what I
be
would
in there
say.
somewhere, hasn't he? You've got to have Tron in a Tron film. You can't not have Tron.
Well, he died at the end of the last one, didn't he? So you never really got to see him apart from a few flashbacks. So, but we shall see. I'm interested for it.
Yeah. What else? There's talk of another Mortal Kombat 2.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you've got thingy in it. Carl Urban.
Carl Urban, yeah.
Johnny Cage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's been like 4 or 5 years since the last one.
Yeah.
The last one came out during the start of COVID, didn't it?
Yeah.
So it went straight to. It was one of those films that bypassed cinema and went straight to streaming.
Mm.
So
It's
yeah,
good. You'll see. It depends how they
more.
taste the story, because obviously, if you know, obviously the whole point of Mortal Kombat is to be around a tournament, and we never really got to see a tournament. It was a build up to the tournament. So who knows?
So I still reckon the '95 film. I still have a lot of fun.
Stephen says Jared Leto is going to be the new Skeletor in the new Masters of the Universe film. Didn't even know they were going to make a new Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, I think the cast is almost all complete now.
So who is He-Man then?
Is an unknown guy, I want to say, or a young lad who's, I can't remember. I mean, I
Not CGI Arnold Schwarzenegger then.
No.
Yeah, I don't know his name, but it's
de-aged.
The cast is looking all right, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't suppose that'll be out this. Well, that's probably 26, 27.
Is it Idris Elba who's playing Man at Arms?
I'm just looking now to try and find the.
Alison Brie is playing Evil Lynn.
Yeah, that's the one I remember.
Yeah, from she was in the TV series Community, and recently, about a year ago, done a film with what's his face, the wrestler.
Oh, John Cena.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Idris Elba as Man at Arms. I can't think of anyone else cast in it.
No, I'm trying to find it. I can't see anything.
But it depends what I give you, because I want it to be visually. I want the cartoon.
Mm.
I want Battle Cat. I want him to be riding a green and orange tiger. You know what I'm saying? That's what I want to see.
Well, I guess we'll wait and see, but I guess that's going to be a couple of years out, or maybe 2026. I don't know. I think the final film, just to mention, and I know probably not really on your radar, AJ, but I'm sure we'll all watch it. But again, this time next year is the third Avatar film, Fire and Ash. As much as, I didn't think that much to the second film. I thought it was a remake of the first one, but I think we'll probably still all go and see these films because they are spectacular to look at, especially in 3D as well. But I know you quite enjoyed the second one, didn't you, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I knew he would bring some sort of elements of water into it. And it's very much exploring, obviously, a different tribe. But, I mean, he has the plan for the 5, and obviously there's going to be some final showdown. So I'm intrigued of where the next story takes, because I'm sure that story has to evolve at some point, because the battle in 2 was very small and isolated. But, obviously, humans are on Pandora colonizing it. So at some point, you're going to have to see a massive human city and like all the Navari and everything attacking each other. So, which should hopefully look spectacular if it's James Cameron.
You don't expect each film to just follow a sort of, because they're following a trend, aren't they?
They are following a trend.
Jungle, sea. This third one's obviously going to be some sort of lava-y.
Possibly different areas.
Then they're going to have to give you a sandy tribe, and then they're going to have to give you a Hoth tribe.
Well, I mean, the fifth film is the final one, so I'm assuming that will be the final battle between Pandora and the human race and what happens. So it may be, you may be right. We may see different tribes, and this is all, you know, Jake Scully. Is it Jake Scully? Yeah. They're basically the good main characters all kind of bringing the world together, and obviously Sigourney Weaver, her reincarnated child essence, so to speak, bringing everyone. But yeah, I'm interested enough to see it. So they do quite well. It's always nice to look at, and I quite like the last one. But
yeah, I mean, I'll go to see it mainly for the 3D, I guess, because he's the only one still promoting the 3D format. But yeah, I felt like I was watching the same film with just some kids in this time round. But
Inevitably, I'll see the missus likes them.
yeah,
But they're
time
not.
for you to have a nap, AJ.
Sorry, say again.
Time for you to have a nap while she's watching it.
Yeah. I mean, it's the film that put me off of Sam Worthington.
Yeah,
First one, yeah, I liked him. He came about obviously I know he's in Rogue, that crocodile film, but then obviously he had Terminator Salvation. I quite liked him in Terminator Salvation, but then by the time I saw Avatar, I was like, I don't like this guy at all. But then I liked him recently this year when he was in Horizon. Kevin Costner's Horizon. I quite liked him in that. So there was a turnaround for him as an actor for me with that film. But I don't think that Avatar 3 is going to do him any favours with me.
no.
I mean, they're films to look at.
Paycheck for him, isn't it?
Yeah, they're pretty films. You know, that's what I can say.
Oh yeah, they look stunning, absolutely stunning.
But they're just you know.
But they make a lot of money. I mean, this last one, I think, didn't it make 2 billion?
Yeah, I think 2.1 or 2.2 last I checked it. So it which is what James Cameron said it would. He said he would make close to 2 billion, and he weren't wrong.
No.
So,
I mean,
for me for Avatar is that it was, you know, it's that it wasn't a original story. And that was my biggest issue with it, is that the story's been done better in other films. You know.
Well, it just takes from human elements, ain't it? Essentially, the human race, like we are, destroy our own planet. We go off and try to do the same with them.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think we'll leave it there. I think we've covered quite a lot of films. Obviously, you know, films from this year and then stuff to look forward to for next year. Yeah, I think it's been a great discussion. See what next year brings.
Yeah.
Let's hope it's going to be a more positive year for us all.
Yeah.
We've got to think positively.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
And a few meetups next year as well.
Yeah. Oh.
I think I'm kind of thinking maybe March time. You guys come up to Peterborough, and then maybe a trip to cinema in London for the old Superman film. Might be a nice one to meet up and watch.
Yeah.
And see what else comes up throughout the year.
Indeed.
Cool. Well, we've been going for over 2 hours. Sun's really starting to come in now, so I'm going to have to move out the way there. Yeah. So it's one of the blinds, because I've got these Christmas lights up. The blind's not fully come down because the Christmas light's in the way, so the sun's shining in. But there we go. Stephen says, have a good one. Thanks for watching, Stephen. Thanks everyone for watching, leaving comments, etc. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Not sure exactly when we're back on, but yeah, watch this space.
We'll sort something out.
Yeah,
we will. Right.
Take care.
See you all later.
Cheers, everyone. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you. Yeah. Cheers.